Is this cartoon a copy of the Loud House? Don't judge too quickly. This may not be what we think. I'm gonna break down frame by frame to see if this show was copied. Stay tuned. Welcome back to another cheap copy video. In this series, we discuss whether cartoons have been ripped off and the authenticity of these shows. This video is not meant to attack the writers or animators of this show. People worked really hard on this. Let's analyze and see if we can come to a conclusion based on the evidence gathered today. The Loud House is a Nickelodeon cartoon that dates back to 2016. The show centers around a small boy with multiple sisters in one house. As you can probably guess, this leaves the house chaotic and very loud, thus the name Loud House. But for the first time ever on this series, the cartoon in question also has the exact same word in its title, loud. We'll get to this point later in the video. Too Loud is an animated web series brought to us by DreamWorks TV and debuted on July 9th, 2017, 1 year after the Loud House premiered. Right off the bat, one of the main complaints many people have is that the main character of both shows look way too similar. It's usually strange when two cartoons come out and they have similar looking main characters. Lincoln Loud has white hair, which, believe it or not, is very unique and a strange color for a young person to have, especially in a cartoon. This is rarely ever done. Try to think back to how many characters you can remember that are teenagers in cartoons with white hair. You probably only guessed Danny Phantom. Even then, Danny's real hair is black, and by only transforming into the ghost does it turn white. Now, I'm not one to make the argument that Jeffrey having the same hair color means it's copied. That would be stupid, especially when you take into account that Jeffrey's hair isn't even fully white. Still, I do see the resemblance and concern. But it would be silly to use this as enough to claim it was ripped off. However, what's interesting to me is not so much the hair color alone, but the body composition and art style of Lincoln and Jeffrey. When a tracer or copier tries to emulate another cartoon, they usually invert the characteristics to the complete opposite, in anticipation if they're ever called out in the future. So they can say, well, they don't even look that much alike, therefore it's not a ripoff. So for example, in Gumball, it would be changing the animal from a cat to a goat. So they can claim it's not the same animal, therefore it's not a ripoff. They always try to change things to avoid a lawsuit. This is sort of the thing that goes on in their mind. Now here's where it gets interesting. Buck teeth on the main character, a doubling of the buck teeth. Very long shoes on the main character, short shoes. Unfortunately for me, this is an anomaly. Because while I had a strong feeling this was just a coincidence, and the two characters are both inspired, I also have a gut feeling now that something may be off. It almost feels like the designer of Jeffrey looked at Lincoln and said, okay, I'll do the exact opposite of each layer of this character's appearance, which does seem very sus. If you put Jeffrey and Lincoln Loud's outline next to each other, this is what we get. But you can do this with literally any character in existence, and this scenario feels very cherry-picked, thus making this recent point negligible. Even with this, I still refuse to make judgment on this cartoon because coincidences are a real thing. But this is something to keep in mind. We know the Loud House is full of sisters and total chaos. Well, in the first episode of Too Loud, we are in a library with very bland comedy for now.
Hi, welcome to the library! Ow, my ears!
But okay animation. Wait, hold on a second. What in the world? Did the animators mix up the walking frames here? This is not fluid at all. I should probably stop laughing because in hand-drawn animation, walking cycles are very tedious and difficult to do properly. When done right, no one notices, which is a good thing. However, when done wrong, it's catastrophic. So it's really not about animating hand movements and throwing them in, but taking the frames and putting them in order. As we can see, one moment the dude's hand is on the right side and all the way to the left without going to the middle. Yikes. And in another episode, they literally drag a PNG image, zoom and shake it towards the camera. Guys, it doesn't get any crazier than this. There has to be some kind of budget issue going on here. My gosh! All joking aside, this is actually really funny to see because I actually love the way the show is animated in some scenes. It's very expressive and alive.
Going on around. Sleepy chimneys, Governor.
Now onto the intro of both cartoons. Yeah, not much to go off of here. The only thing similar is the name Loud. This is actually where the similarities end too. If you thought the story and plot was gonna rip off the episodes from the Loud House, that's a big no. This cartoon is completely different story-wise. The animation gets a lot better in the later episodes, and the story does improve. This does not seem like a ripoff based on story alone. The animation actually did a 180 in my opinion, because I actually fell in love with it. Yeah, you heard me. The animation of Too Loud looks amazing in the later episodes. The comedy got better. The fluidity got better. Shoot, even Veilskabum 94 got better. Shh, don't tell him I said that. The cartoon lives on its own. There are no multiple sisters. Shoot, the only reason people accuse us of being a ripoff is the title and the main character. But we already ruled the title being copied because, well guys, it's a word. A word! You and I are both completely stupid to call a show a ripoff based off one word in a title. Although it might be odd that Too Loud and The Loud House have similar names, at least they didn't steal the entire premise of the show. Guys, this is nothing compared to the stupidity of ripoffs like Veiley and Miracle Star, which both have different names, might I add, but are still the biggest ripoffs of all time. No ands, ifs, or buts about it. DreamWorks TV is a large company. They wouldn't just rip off or copy a show. It's because they have to. Legally. Hello? Copyright exists, people. They don't want to risk anything. That aside though, clearly there was a lot of passion put into this show, and the creator of Too Loud worked very hard on this cartoon. Every show has its ups and downs, so I hope my criticism of the earlier animation was not taken in a spiteful way. Takeaways from this video is that I believe that Too Loud is not guilty of being a copy or ripoff of The Loud House. The earliest works of the creator Nico Colalio shows his art style really didn't just evolve to copy The Loud House. Rather, his style, illustrations, and visions has always been and had its own uniqueness even in 2015, way before The Loud House. There is a strong possibility that the creators of Too Loud didn't even know The Loud House existed, in all honesty. When you look at the creator of Too Loud, it shows a talented man who rose above difficult odds to create entertainment for his family and friends. A man who felt a calling to break away from the standard job he had as a cashier and a restaurant waiter. He had passion, and I will never knock someone down for chasing their dream. Too Loud is not a ripoff of The Loud House, and it is not cheap. Too Loud is not a ripoff. 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 We were all wrong. If you don't believe me, then baby, just listen to this song. If you think it's cheap, then I got some choice words for you. Try to make your own show and see that it's true.